We have in the shop today a 2015 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon with a 3.6 engine. We're going to be replacing the AC compressor. The AC compressor failed, won't engage, even though it's receiving power. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. So first we're going to open up the hood, bring it into the bay. There's that 3.6 engine right there. The compressor's over here on the driver's side, right behind the computer over here. You can see it is pretty accessible, pretty easy to get to. There it is right there. You got your two 13mm bolts holding the hoses down. And to make this job easy, we're going to pull this here connector for the PCM. We're going to disconnect the battery, remove that, and swing that out of the way to make it easy to get to. With that PCM connector removed and swung out of the way, there you see your 13mm nuts. You can go ahead and stick your socket down in there and loosen them up once we remove our refrigerant. Your high side and low side ports are right here and right there. Take those caps off and start recovering it. I have another video on how to recover AC that'll be coming out soon. We'll go ahead and recover all that Freon, filter it out and keep it in our tank, and then refill it later on. We're going to cover the fender of this Jeep so we don't scratch it up. It's a pretty nice Jeep. And then we're going to go ahead and lean over and do what we need to do to remove those hoses. We're also going to remove this air box with this snorkel right here. We'll loosen up from the throttle body and over there where the air filter is so we can get to our belt. Once that's removed, we have our serpentine belt. It's a little tricky to get to. You can't really see it with all that stuff on there. But you can go ahead and loosen up your belt and remove that so you can remove your compressor. We're going to come back over here and we got our 13mm. We got to go ahead and finish removing these hoses and swinging them out of the way so we have space to work with. Once those are removed, you can actually stick your hand under here from the front side of the Jeep to remove the two 13mm bolts holding the compressor from the bottom there. The top ones over here on the driver's side, you can reach over here pretty well. So I'd recommend loosen the bottom ones first and then come around here and loosen the top ones so you can kind of catch it because it's a little bit heavy. And once that's loose, you can go ahead and come back to the front of the Jeep and pull the compressor out from this front area here between the radiator. And if you have to, you can remove that overflow tank right there. I was able to do it without it, but do it really carefully so you don't puncture the radiator. Then go ahead and get your new compressor out. We got a manufactured compressor here. I'm going to send the core back, but before we do that, we're going to pull these 13mm off. We're going to pull off the studs off the old compressor and install them onto the new one. Once those are torqued down, we're ready to put it back in the Jeep. I'm going to put it back in the same way it came out. Be very careful, obviously. Squeeze it down in there like that, and then bring it back up. It's a little bit tough to bolt it back on because it's a little bit heavy and you want to align the bolts with the holes and all that. So you're going to need a little bit of patience to do that. After a little bit of fighting, I was able to get it on there. There it is right there. At least start with one of those top ones. Make it easy for you, and then you align the other ones. And you go ahead and torque it down. I recommend you use a mountain wrench or some sort of swivel wrench or something like that to get in there. Because a lot of times a regular 3/8 ratchet with a 13 socket won't fit or it'll be a little tough. So got to have the right tools for the job. Don't forget to connect your compressor. Right there, there's a little connector and a little red lock on it. Push that down too. We're also going to go ahead and take advantage and replace our O-rings on these hoses right here. I'm going to pull the old O-rings off the kit. The compressor comes with the new ones. Pry them off like this right here, the old ones. I'm only using that little sharp pick because we're not going to reuse those. With the new ones, give them a little bit of oil on there, refrigerant oil, and slide them on there. Being very careful not to damage them and make sure you got the right sizes. Make sure you line them up correctly and make sure they sit down nice and snug. I'm going to do the high side and the low side both. Then you can put your 13 millimeters and torque them down. Now we're ready to put back our PCM connector on there. Everything back in place. And we can go ahead and connect our battery. We're going to replace the serpentine belt. Once we install that, we're going to put on our air snorkel. We're going to put on these AC lines here. We're going to do a vacuum on the system. Once we have the vacuum on the system, we're going to refill it, turn the car on, engage the compressor, and we're going to get our correct readings. Here we're pretty close. We're going to verify inside, and pretty quickly we got down to about 50 degrees, and after driving it ended up getting colder, about 45 degrees. So that's the full job right there. Just verify that it's cooling properly, and if you have to, double check your levels. Now this car is ready to be turned back to the customer.